The same kind of opportunity that World War II offered to refashion the world. A new century calls for new techniques and subterfuge. Our organization is mobilized like none other in the history of mankind. We are the unseen hand of the new Pax Americana. We are everywhere and we are nowhere. Welcome, brave young initiates, to the Latent World program. We'll be watching. We'll be waiting.
Now, for those of you who live in my neck of the woods, the United States, one glance at the news is proof enough that the US is its own analog horror. So you can imagine my delight when a Farrell McGuire video introduced me to this channel called Gloomy Texan Media, which is an analog horror project based on a dystopian, almost post-apocalyptic series of American propaganda ads. And I think that's just the sort of channel that our serotonin deprived brains need right now, okay? So let's dive into this one together. Welcome to the wonderful, wacky world of the Tuesday tapes. Now, one thing that sets this series apart from other analog horror projects is the way that it was marketed. Yes, back in its heyday, it was advertised through a series of cryptic YouTube ads that would appear on videos in the horror commentary space, such as on channels like Nexpo and Nick Crowley. Now, this created a very immersive effect that directly places us in the position of these ads in-universe target audience. The first entry in this series begins with a call to action. The homeland cries out for your help. The world is moving on. The wars of tomorrow will, in all likelihood, be waged not with artillery, but with pure information. While the wording is a bit ambiguous, the nature of this ad is pretty straightforward. Yes, it's an invitation to seek some form of forbidden knowledge. Knowledge so powerful that it can somehow be weaponized, similar to warfare artillery. It equates not having access to said knowledge to being unarmed and vulnerable. And these advertisements serve as our orientation, our introduction to said forbidden knowledge. Now, what is this classified forbidden knowledge that they speak of? And also, who are these unknown enemies that the advertisements speak of? What exactly are we fighting against? The second episode, vaguely titled Tuesday Overture, Summer of the Red Blinking Lights, it's a reference to surveillance cameras, how they have the red blinking lights. That's really clever, I see what they did there. But it opens up to a dark room illuminated only by a small TV. Old VHS tapes play across our screen, and at first glance, they seem to be nothing more than ordinary family home tapes. The nostalgic atmosphere is abruptly interrupted by a single Bible verse, Ezekiel chapter 21, verse 37. You shall be fuel for the fire. Your blood shall flow throughout the fields. You shall be forgotten, for I, the Lord, have spoken. Thanks, God. Love you too, buddy. Now, traditionally, there are only 32 verses in the book of Ezekiel, but some translations mention there being 37. You know, why this interpretation is used, however, is not what we're going to be focusing on. Quite frankly, I don't care, okay? This verse is essentially a prophecy about how the Ammonites will be systematically wiped out and destroyed in their own land. You know, very big Chungus wholesome, if you ask me. And immediately this seems to be a direct threat pointed at those who are not in the know about this esoteric knowledge, or rather the ones that shouldn't be in the know. More on that later. Off topic, but how do you think Alex Jones would react if this was shown to him as a YouTube ad at 4 a.m.? Someone should test that on him, actually, like as a social experiment. Okay, moving on.
Would you like to lower your monthly mortgage payments or use the equity in your home to consolidate your credit card or other debts?
Oh yeah, sign me up, boss. Where's the gobbledygook, am I right?
But her aim is getting better. Her aim is getting better.
And of course, our gobbledygook is rudely interrupted by film footage. Boring. Yes, apparently this is a clip taken from a VHS tape titled New Initiatives Tuesday Project, timestamped 1998. The narrator alludes to a universe where the American government is collapsing from within. Are we sure this was filmed in 1998? A vague reference to an incident in Waco, Texas is mentioned, and all in all, the folks in this alternate timeline aren't having a very good time, are they? But don't worry about all the horrible shit that's going on. According to the narrator, these are just exceptions to the rule. We are actually in the generation of peace and prosperity, generally speaking. He calls our attention to a hidden enemy, practically hiding beneath our noses around the world. Now, this is where the narrator says something completely unhinged, and I'm just gonna play it out briefly.
Sun Tzu instructs us to know one's enemy better than oneself. Here at the Latent World program, we propose a 21st century addendum. Know thine enemy before thine enemy even exists.
Who needs ops in the real world when you already have more than enough in your head? We have finally returned back to Grunkle Stan's evil tool shed. Oh, yippee, yippee. I wonder what him and his friend have been up to, huh? Yeah. Well, camera guy picks up a couple of rusty tools, waves them around at chair guy, while chair guy just has a random chimp event. I'll let that play out briefly. The narrator discusses how the invention of the polygram allowed people to store large amounts of information in a computer itinerary system. But we're past the polygram stage. Oh yeah, we're in the future, baby. 1998. And according to our narrator, with the future comes new forms of warfare and new threats. Oh, I see what you did there. You're trying to slide a little bit of propaganda. You're trying to turn this into propaganda. That's pretty slick. It's pretty slick, buddy. I like that. He claims that this presents a new opportunity to create a new America. It is here another new incident is mentioned. The new Pearl Harbor. What? Why does there need to be a new one? Why did I hear about this? Now, already the theme of this universe seems to be heavily focused on warfare. The company behind these tapes, titled the Latent World Program, claims to have access to some form of military weaponry that is powerful enough to detect the enemies that don't exist yet. And they possess some level of metaphorical omnipotency, as they are, quote unquote, both everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Okay, now I can't even show most of this video, but to summarize, it's a drum roll, please. A film. Oh yeah, gone schmegdual, apparently. So the implication here is that the U.S. government paid a young pair of people to essentially off a journalist who infiltrated a secret meeting that no one was supposed to know about. Oh, not cool, man. Man, let the cat out of the bag. Now, this, of course, meant that the information exchanged in said meeting was not meant to be seen by public eyes. And, you know, with a rat in the mix, you know, that's just not going to bake a very delicious pie. I kind of almost rhymed there, almost. Now, the footage follows the process of how a young woman and her partner in crime, who's behind the camera, were on some government job to seduce and lace this man. Why did it have to be that elaborate? Like, God, this is like some Gotham City shit. And it obviously shows footage of some rather steamy interactions between the journalist and the paid plant, who is the female counterpart to all this. Yeah, she gives him a censored drug, but I can only assume that it's this one. Also, with the way I probably had to display that on screen, doesn't that look like a really cool SoundCloud rapper's name? I'm calling dibs. I'm claiming. My idea. Mine. Well, they apparently give him this popular party drug, okay, wink wonk, and they laced it with some other type of nasty substance that's censored, and he basically has a seizure and gets got. The cameraman prances around a bit on camera in his favorite Party City mask, and they're just very nonchalant about the whole thing. They seem to not really grasp the gravity of what it is that they're doing. The following episode is pretty brief, but it basically starts as another propaganda ad when it is suddenly intercepted by a message urging us to find the Tuesday tapes. Now, Morse code plays whenever the footage is interspliced with the footage from the last video, but no, I don't know how to translate Morse code, and quite frankly, I don't intend on changing that. Enjoy your cigarette analog horror, okay, sweetheart? And after it tells us to locate the Tuesday tapes, it says we have to do that before the snow falls. You mean like a nuclear winter? That's something to think about, huh? I'm starting to see the bigger picture, actually. Now, I'm gonna warn you folk, all right? This video has some amazing one-liners that you will be hearing from in a bit. They're a dime a dozen, okay? Anyways, what we're watching is found footage supposedly recovered from the belongings of an info hazard named Cody Edmonds. And just like last guy, he will soon be one of the latent program's targets. And the cameraman for this footage is none other than the aforementioned Cody Edmonds. And right off the bat, he's really paranoid because, well, something funky is lurking outside his home.
This is the third fucking night in a row. Something is crawling around out there. At first I thought it was a bear or something. I don't know, but that's when I saw it.
Yeah, I'd be pretty spooked too if one of my coworkers showed up in my front lawn at the ass crack of dawn. And the gang stalking doesn't stop there, yes, because whatever is lurking outside in the woods, well, it's also been sending him some voice messages.
So what I got on camera last night is only Exhibit B. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I bring you whatever the fuck this is.
Saved message, 8:57 a.m. Mr. Edmonds, we know who you are. We know what you have taken. This is your final warning. To replay this message, press 1. To delete, press.
Yep, I got that gnarly little surprise last Tuesday morning while I was hungover in the next room. Straightened me right the fuck up, I'll tell you that much.
I played it out a little longer at the end there because I wanted you guys to hear that little quip he slipped in there. What a snarky little asshole. I love this guy. Honestly, it's just like me for real. Now, for some reason, the footage keeps getting mixed up with footage from some 1997 wedding. Yeah, I don't really care about all that. I want to see the good stuff, okay? I want to see the Cody Edmonds content. And, after telling us this ominous backstory about how he used to work for an IT company that went bankrupt under mysterious circumstances, he shows us the things he brought with him while he watches over his uncle's house. Mixed in with his belongings is a floppy disk with the word Tuesday written on it, so presumably one of the Tuesday tapes. Hey, that's the name of the series. And he doesn't seem to recognize it. Liar, liar, pants for hire. Now, he doesn't explain where he got this old floppy disk from, but the implication is that he probably swiped it off of the manager's desk right before the company went belly up. And well armed only with his uncle's baseball bat, he's about as well armed as a bullfrog in a chicken coop. And soon enough, some unknown individual sneaks into his house while he sleeps. He wanders around the property some more and finds this weird upside-down crucified baby doll. That is a sentence I did not expect to have on my 2026 bingo card. This is when someone charges at him from the woods with what appears to be a golf club. And you know what our boy Cody does? He drops the baseball bat. He drops the baseball bat and still gets caught. Cody, I was rooting for you, man, but it's not a good look. It's not a good look, buddy. Now, this next episode is titled A Very Artemis Halloween, implying that the lady that we see on the screen here is nicknamed Artemis. And they just kind of nonchalantly unalive another info hazard. Nothing too crazy. They're just going on a little killing spree together, all in the name of George W. Bush. The next video is titled Monkey's Gone to Heaven, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't think anybody's monkey is going to heaven in this video. A woman writes to us on sticky notes in this video, stating she's scared and that someone is listening to her. So far, she's been followed for 2 weeks, but now she's done running. It's really giving.
I'm afraid to show people the real me.
She writes here that nobody she loves knows that she's missing, implying that she is filming this in the midst of her actively running from something. She shows us her arsenal here, very stacked. I too carry a bulletproof shield in the form of a Bible. She shows us the hotel she's staying at, which kind of looks like one of the apartments I used to live in back in the day. Okay, anyways, her bed is covered in those god-awful sticky notes, presumably so she can convey something to the next person who stays in her room, somehow without getting caught. She turns on a cassette player, listens to music, and dissociation maxes to the extreme. The footage cuts to her wandering around in the wilderness of the Pacific Northwest, and at a certain point, she appears to be spooked by something and starts to run. She catches a white van here that appears to be following her. She can be seen walking up to a cross outside of a church and even appears to have been let inside at one point. After that, she briefly shows herself stuffing a floppy disk inside of a Bible, similar to the one Cody had. So we can see the continuing trend of people being hunted due to their access to forbidden knowledge. And just by filming around her hotel room some more, we begin to see that the sticky notes appear to have been placed in several areas throughout the space. Here it becomes apparent that someone is trying to break in through the door, and the woman begins to panic. And so she relinquishes herself to her fate. She unlocks the door, lays down, and someone lets themselves in. The camera pans to a sticky note that says and one that says for the room. The next video is just under a minute long, but it contains yet another call to action in the form of a propaganda ad. We are once again warned about a very ominous future and a program that is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. We are urged to save ourselves from the new millennium. So some imminent threat is looming in our future all the time, isn't it? No matter what cinematic universe we're in. I love that. It briefly flashes these coordinates on the screen, which takes us to a place called Lookout Mountain, which, to quote Google directly here, was a top secret U.S. Air Force film studio in the Hollywood Hills, Laurel Canyon, that produced over 6,500 classified scientific and training films regarding nuclear tests and defense from 1947 to 1969. Oh, and Jared Leto owns it now, in case you were wondering. The video closes with an old ad for a company called Enron. I did a little bit of digging, and yes, this is a real company. What it's famously known for, however, is the Enron scandal of '01. It's really giving the bite of '87, isn't it? Yeah, they basically got ousted for having internal accounting fraud, which caused their accounting firm to go belly up. So this seems to be referencing the company that Cody used to work for in a weird way. The beginning of this video provides a little bit of background on Artemis. We know that she was paid by presumably the US government in the form of being offered US citizenship. She has a very idealized view of the US, and with the way she describes it in her own words, she almost sounds starstruck. And a recording taken from a speech by Timothy Leary in 1966 plays out here, the quote in which he says, "Turn on, tune in, and drop out." And apparently this is referring to the hype around that was running rampant at the time. And the phrase urges one to embrace the societal changes that are coming in the form of a psychedelic trip. Honestly, the only right type of tweaker to be. She also describes a really sad story about how she was taken advantage of by a man at a young age. And after that, we can see the two of them lurking around outside someone's house, filming through their windows. And then the phrase damnatio memoriae flashes on the screen, which is the Roman practice of vanquishing a tyrannical political figure to the point where there is no longer any historical record of their existence. Now, in this tape, we learn a lot about, these two partners in crime, well, more specifically, Artemis. Apollo is a man of few words, but yeah, he basically confirms that they are, in fact, working for the government when he describes this hitman job as being another way of serving one's country. While Artemis seems to have a much more nihilistic and admittedly more realistic perspective. To paraphrase what she says a little bit here, she seems to know that at the end of this all, once the government doesn't need to use these two for their services anymore, they'll probably take them both out to the desert and pop a cap in their heads, and she's just cool with all this. She even has herself a little dance party, a little dancey dance party. So that's kind of iconic. Okay, now the last episode in this series almost made me jump out of my seat and do a happy little jig because Cody is back. Cody is back and he survived. Woo-hoo! I'm sorry, this guy's dialogue is just have a listen.
The thing is I always assumed that out here in the Wild West, getting a gun was as easy as walking over to the local Eckarts and getting one free with a pack of gum. Turns out there's a waiting period.
Why the fuck do they make this character so sassy? For no reason, huh? So I guess he's still out on Uncle Roger's ranch, even though there's, feral cannibals in the woods. But you do you, buddy-o. Well, we know from Cody's own words that ever since the scuffle, things have kind of chilled out for a bit. Bro literally drank the immunity to dying potion while he whimsically dropped his baseball bat on the ground in the last video, I guess. And when he talks about who he's even preserving these tapes for, we get a little bit of world building here from the monologue.
On the one hand, I want to preserve this tape, right? On the other hand, I don't have anybody except for maybe Crackhead Jones down the street to talk to.
I don't know, I kind of think your odds of survival are a little bit higher with Crackhead Jones on your team. I'm just saying. And now he still doesn't know who the fuck Evil Baby is and what he's doing here, but he kept it as a relic, and that's all that matters. He explains a little bit more about the tech company he used to work for and how apparently the guy he used to work for used to have sketchy names in accounts payable. Names from Russia, Italy, yeah. You name it. Yeah, this guy's not messing around. Oh, but what, this baby, this fucking baby, yeah, he don't know what the fuck that is, man. He describes it as some helter-skelter shit, and honestly, I couldn't agree more. I can't get over how chill this guy is. A true New Yorker, man. You gotta love it. Now, we don't even have time to process what he's telling us here, because the next scene cuts to him having a phone conversation with someone named Abel. Abel claims to know who's following Cody and that the floppy disk he has in his possession was supposed to go to a colleague of his. He goes on to say that the people only care about the information contained in said floppy disk, but also what Cody intends to do with it. And when Cody asks, how do you know all this? Abel explains that he's a web journalist. A web journalist by the name of Abel Danger. So essentially this universe's version of Alex Jones. And what does Cody have to do to keep himself safe? Well, nothing. To keep it simple, he just has to keep the information safe, and he doesn't have to look at it. Don't do that, actually. Don't look at it at all. And don't give it to anybody. And all he has to do is wait for good old Abel to come home. Whisk him off to Brokeback Mountain. And at the end of the call, Cody sends Abel off with this line.
All right, well, thanks, Mr. Danger. Say hi to Undertaker for me.
Cody isn't the hero we asked for, but he's the hero we need. Well, guess what? Our buddy takes a peek anyways, and he don't know what the fuck he looking at, man. He says most of it was a bunch of technical jargon and arcane texts, and mentions something about a file named Pentmascal. And beyond that, he's at a loss. Cody was about to stop watching the tape until he analyzed the spreadsheets that were being shown a little more closely. And wouldn't you know it, he recognizes them. And then he starts yapping about stocks, and he gets into explaining how betting works, which I'm not going to spiel to you guys, don't worry. Well, based on his finding, he feels that someone in power fudged the market somehow, and that this information was meant to be passed on to like a low-level, unreliable employee for plausible deniability purposes. Insider trading jump scare. And in the next scene, as he's flipping through his uncle's photo album, someone knocks on the door. Oh yeah, the baseball bat is back, baby. Why the fuck would you open the door, man? Why the fuck would you open the door when you don't even know who's standing there, huh? Well, it looks like no one was out there, thankfully, but someone did leave a note behind. The note is from New York and contains the following message. Have you been able to contact your family? The footage cuts to the future, and it appears to be early in the morning or late at night. And Cody looks around in his living room because he heard a noise. To his horror, several people start banging on his windows. Cody ducks off and hides somewhere in the dark, and the video ends. Alrighty, there's a lot of niche references being thrown around in this series, that are very familiar to my chronically online soup brain. And if I were to draw any conclusions from what we've been shown here, it's that this series is heavily based around the MKUltra program run by the CIA from 1953 to 1973. For those of you who don't know what MKUltra is, just to give you a very brief summary, it was an illegal human experimentation program that famously used as a way of testing mind control and information gathering techniques on innocent people. One of the popular theories with MK Ultra is that Charles Manson was actually a part of this experiment and was used as a pawn to give a bad name to hippie culture and, disrupt progress. And while Helter Skelter is jokingly referenced by Cody in one of the videos, I don't think this reference is a coincidence. I believe that, what we're seeing here is essentially a continuation of the MK Ultra experiment. And similar to the Helter Skelter connection theory, I think that Apollo and Artemis are unknowing pawns in a greater scheme. It's honestly just another case of the US government taking advantage of the desperation of two vulnerable people as a means of making them expendable tools. Kinda like our military. Alternatively, this could also be interpreted as a commentary on how the search for knowledge and truthful information is becoming harder and harder in a world filled with AI, misinformation, corruption, and censorship. And this could also be interpretation of what would happen in a world where the search for transparency could place a target on the backs of the everyday American. And while this may seem very hyperbolic, I think, in this current political climate, at least over here in the States, the overall message here is very relevant, very topical, very fitting, and that is fucking horrifying. I also want to give it props for leveraging YouTube's advertisement system as a way of promoting this series to people, because it directly plays into the overall theme of the message it's trying to relay. It was both effective and tastefully done. So, I tip my fedora to the creators on that one. And also, Cody as a character is hilarious. He's amazing, and I would love to watch a series just with him in it, to be completely honest with you. Like, he could honestly just vlog himself at a Bass Pro Shop, and I would be fine with it. I'd eat that slop right up. I also love how authentic this feels to the time period of the late 90s and early 2000s. I mean, you can tell that they actually filmed these videos with real antique cameras, and they weren't just using a cheap filter. And they also made sure to keep all the technology shown on camera time period accurate, which honestly, yeah, that's impressive. Hats off to them on that one. But yeah, the most recent video was uploaded 3 months ago, so it is possible more will be revealed in future episodes, like what the name of that cryptic file meant that that Cody saw on the Tuesday tapes. I sincerely hope that this series is still running. This video will serve as my humble request for more content in this series. I really, really am interested in seeing more. Anyways, thanks to everyone who stuck around till the end, and to my lovely patrons. And see you in the next one, guys. Bye-bye.